So, the quote of the night is our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always to try just one more time. And I had been looking into quotes about flaws, partly because embracing one's flaws is healthy and can help you continue to do things even when you're not great at them and work through the process of getting better at them. And I feel like that not only has been a theme for a while now. Oh, I'm sorry. That was from Thomas A. Edison. See? Working through all the flaws. Consistency. No, crediting. There we go. I know how to do words. I know how to make thoughts. Okay. So, back to what I was thinking about. Because this week I've had to do a little bit of a pivot. And that pivot is because it has begun raining. It's going to rain for at least the next 3 days. It might be longer. I didn't even bother to look past Sunday because I was like, garage sale, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Crap, it's supposed to rain on Friday and Sunday. And now it's supposed to rain pretty much off and on the entire weekend. All right. Well, I can still declutter. I can still organize. I can still move things around. But I can't actually do the garage sale. And I need to still work on that stuff because, well, I will eventually have a garage sale when there's a nice weekend. What the hell? Oh, sorry, I thought there was like a hole in my shirt. And I'm like, this is one of my favorite comfy shirts right now. Sorry, my shoulder is bugging me, so I'm going to do this for a minute. So I've had to pivot this week because I'm not going to be as gung-ho organizing while I know I can't actually have a garage sale this weekend or the next weekend. So it's going to have to be the weekend after at the earliest if the weather cooperates. So I've got a couple weeks minimum. So I can kind of leisurely go about things. Not that I need to be leisurely about that, but I'm going to take it as an opportunity to work on some other stuff. So I have taken the opportunity this week to like work on some short stuff, work on some camera stuff, working on like filming certain things in my garage that I haven't previously done, and posting content I haven't previously done. So hence the Throwback Thursday today. Hence I think it was yesterday, I posted a sped up music only making video. I think I called it Making No Talking because I wanted to experiment with removing any audio, splicing things together, speeding it up, adding music onto it, making sure I'm doing the proper crediting. Crediting on YouTube is different than crediting on Twitch from the source that I use, which is Chill Hop. They have nice, like lo-fi beat stuff going on. And I use it for like my starting soon, my end, my whatever. All those screens. And I think I might cough because I'm still battling this congestion because that's delightful. But I'd been nervous about using music on YouTube because I was like, what if I screw up how I'm supposed to do it? And I'm just like, no, it's simple and straightforward. You can handle that. So, surprise, I made a spreadsheet to keep track of the music I've downloaded, all of its proper crediting, and then also like I'm trying to keep track of like how long the songs are so that if I need to fill a certain amount of time, I can fill a certain amount of time. Anyway, it's all this stuff to keep my brain happy, but also like to approach it like methodically in small little steps. Like the first thing I do is this, and then I do this, and then I do this, and then it's here, and then it's done. And so that's been working. I think my little high-speed video went together pretty well, pretty easily. I took 2 hours worth of filming and made it down to like just under 16 minutes. I had to cut out big chunks where I took a break and I was like, I'm just gonna leave the filming. I'm not even gonna worry about it. I can cut all that stuff out in editing. Um, and yeah, I was like, okay, I did it. Something I've been dreading trying to do for whatever bullshit that lives in my head has now been accomplished. So what do I do with that? I'm going to try and do other stuff. I've been fighting with filming. I was going to try and make a short. Shorts are a struggle for me. I'm long-winded even when I'm not talking, apparently. Um, and then the camera angle in the garage was not great for either cropping or for having the camera vertical like I need it for shorts. So that's still got some experimentation to do, but I've been trying things. And that's the thing about the quote is like, just because I didn't succeed at it doesn't mean I can't try again. If I try again and try something different, I might figure out the thing that actually will work. And then once I know what will work, I can start improving from that. I can do little incremental things to get better at that. And then the other thing that I was working on is I have all these glue books that I'm working on because I have a lot of collage fodder. I have way too much collage fodder. I have done a lot of collecting throughout my life without using, or the projects that I do are not as big as the amount that I collect, because once you start collecting recycled art supplies like paper and magazines, especially if you're doing like paper stuff, it's a ridiculous amount in the world that people don't want and don't want to throw it away. And I have a hard time saying no when it's free. So I've acquired magazines throughout my life, scrapbooking supplies throughout my life. I'm not a scrapbooker, but just different paper from all sorts of sources throughout probably 30 years of my life. And I have some things I'm making to use things up. I have specifically made projects just for using up things I know I have too much of, because the goal is to use up as much as possible to get myself down to a managed state. And then the glorious day where I am cutting collage and then using the collage and then cutting the collage. I don't know if I'll ever be that person, but I have heard people talk about working like that. And I'm like, that sounds nice, because there is a problem with having too many options. Like, the brain will just go, I can obsess over all of it, as opposed to, I've got like 20 things. Let's work with these 20 things. What can we come up with just these 20 things? So I have this book that I'm working on, and it was actually the high-speed video I put out yesterday. And it was me trying to finish up some of the last pages because I've got all these big images. I have these old spiral-bound notebooks, and various notebooks that my mom has given me throughout the years, or I've gotten from places. They're really pretty, but then they're almost too good to use. One of those dumb things. So I was like, I've got all these giant images, and then I've got these books that I'm not using. I'm going to combine the two, and then I'm going to, finish the random glue booking process once all the backgrounds are in. The big problem was the spiral was not capable of holding a book that I have glued images to the fronts and backs of the pages. So I had to disbind a spiral notebook. And then I was like, well, I'm going to try and rebind it. I found a new binding technique that I wasn't familiar with that is called a slip knot binding. There might be other terms for it. If there's anything I've learned in bookbinding adventures, there's so many names to describe the same shit. But I was like, oh, that looks like a really simple binding. Tedious for my giant book, but also simple, so it's just repetitive. And yeah, I'm not always thrilled about that, but I want to work in this book. The only concern was, will the paper hold up to this slip knot thing? The answer was no. So I was like, I don't know what the hell to do about this. And the thought of not using this book and not using these images that I have already taken a lot of time to glue down was not an option. So I ended up going and buying masking tape and creating hinged pages with masking tape. It's not perfect. In hindsight, if I knew that I was going to be working with a fresh spiral book. I would probably disbind it and do this, and then I might not even use masking tape at that point. I might use paper and then rebind it as a book with signatures, which is what I'm going to do with this book. But it's gonna be hefty. It's a big one. It's gonna be so heavy when I'm done with it. It's got 74 pages. Yeah, 74 pages. And so each of those is double-sided, so that's 148 pages total to work in. And I had cut all these images and to the right size and glued them in, and I ended up with one extra. I didn't math it at all. I was like, oh my God. And the one I saved is one I could cut down a little bit smaller. It's got a lot of excess stuff that I could cut away, and I could put it in one of my smaller books that I'm working on. That's a whole nother thing. So I taped all my pages. So tomorrow, if I'm feeling up to it, I might try and bind it. But it's a hefty book, and I need to make sure I do lots of stations. Pardon me. To make sure that it holds up. Masking tape's a little risky because it tears easily. It's not really meant to be permanent. But for now and for learning's sake, that's what I'm going to do. Because I can't do nothing. I have to try something, even if it doesn't work, even if I fail, even if it falls apart, even if I want to throw it against a wall. Like, the alternative is I don't do anything because I'm so worried about doing it wrong or screwing it up, or like, I don't want it to just sit there. I mean, I want to make a book to pet. I mean, it's one of the best things about making your own art is that you can touch it. So, anyway. That's why accepting my flaws was on my mind. Multiple things, multiple pursuits going on, and lots of experimentation and just trying to flounder my way through figuring it all out. And feeling pretty positive, even though I ran into some pretty big roadblocks along the way. And it'll be okay. You know? It's better than sitting around wondering if I could do it or worrying about it being perfect. I had to do a lot of that with that book today, where I was taping the pages together to make hinges. I was like, not verbalizing it, but, consciously thinking, it's okay if it's not perfect. It's okay if it's got problems. It's okay if it's not straight. It's okay if it's not square. It's okay if it's not this, like, I was doing my best, and honestly, it turned out pretty good considering all the I'm not going to worry about that moments I had. So I am excited to bind it. The spine is going to be a little bit beefier than the foredge of the book, which is great because as I build collage layers on top, that means there's room for it to grow. And the boards for it are super sturdy, so it's going to be, as long as I can get the binding done correctly, which I've bound books before. I think the weakest part is going to be the tape. And I'll just have to see. I'll just have to see if it holds up. If it doesn't hold up, I'll have to figure something else out. I don't know what. I'm a bit bummed about that slip knot binding, although I am excited to try that on like individual pieces of board and make a board book and use maybe eyelets to reinforce it. Not that board will need reinforcement like that, but like, I'm excited about the potential.